All right, we've seen a lot of pictures coming out of the protests in Ferguson, police wearing riot gear, holding machine guns, and looking an awful lot like the U.S. military. And that's because today they are a lot like the military. Not only have they been trained using some of the same tactics, but they've also been authorized over the last few years to receive a surplus in military gear from the Pentagon. And that means local law enforcement agencies are using weapons found on the battlefields of South Asia and the Middle East. To discuss this a little bit more, I was joined earlier by John Whitehead, president of the Rutherford Institute. He's long studied and written about the idea of a rising police state in America. And I first asked him if the ongoing situation in Ferguson resembles that evolution.
Of course, yeah. Everything you're seeing from the military gear on the so-called policemen, who they look like military personnel, by the way. They do not look like policemen, to the military vehicles, the high-tech rifles, all the things you're using. Yeah, it's a culmination of a long process that began quite a while ago, but has really accelerated over the last 5 or 6 years, especially under President Obama for whatever. Actually, the handout from the Pentagon, the Department of Homeland Security of all this military gear slowed down a bit under George Bush, but it's really accelerated under President Obama for whatever reason.
And we're seeing pictures of police officers and events that many feel resemble a military operation in Iraq or Afghanistan. What brought us to this point where local police forces are resembling our military in the way that they look and their actions?
Well, first of all the equipment that's been given out, basically free from the Pentagon, Department of Homeland Security. I mean, the Department of Homeland Security is giving out MRAPs to local police departments. They're mine-resistant armor protection vehicles that they use in Afghanistan. They're basically tanks. The other thing that I've talked to policemen who are concerned about this is the training. They're training policemen now very militarily in the police academies across the country, and actually SWAT teams are studying with military units. The other factor is that a lot of returning veterans from overseas are becoming police officers. So what you're getting is what the founding fathers, Madison, George Washington, all warned about a standing army. They say never do this because they experienced what would be the tyranny of a standing army. Used to, when you approached a policeman in America, he had a brown outfit on and maybe a firearm. Sometimes they weren't armed. Now you're seeing them with high-tech rifles. You have the Department of Homeland Security arming themselves with hollow point bullets, which violate international law, but Social Security Administration buying hollow point bullets and passing them out to 41 locations across the United States. Things have definitely changed. We do have a standing army now. It's the local police working with federal agents. And in some of the cases we're involved where people's homes get raided, it's local police working with federal departments like the FBI and Department of Homeland Security, and they're all decked out in this military gear.
And do you think in some ways the way that they're dressing is actually causing this tension?
Yeah, as I show in my book, A Gumlet of Wolves, there's what they call the psychology of compliance. A number of studies show that once you put on that gear as a policeman and you're trained, you start acting like a military unit, like you're in a patrol. And unfortunately, what happens is the psychology changes, and a lot of these local policemen, when they're approaching a house for a SWAT team raid, it's like they're moving in on Al-Qaeda. That's what you have. That's what the studies show, and they've been confirmed recently by other studies that show the same thing.
Indeed, psychology has a lot to do with it. It's like a psychology of intimidation. Go ahead.
It's how they view the citizen. That's the key. Not as supposedly we're the masters and they're the servants. But you know, in Ferguson, they're telling people to back off 25 feet, get in this zone. They're violating their free speech rights. You have a right to walk up to a civil servant and say, "Sir, why are you doing this? Why are you here?" They're pointing guns at people and chasing them away. That's not a policeman anymore. Again, that's the military, and that's what we're dealing with.
And indeed, a lot of people are vulnerable because they don't even know what their rights are in these situations. But, you know, how can we begin to really roll back this kind of militarization that we're seeing within these police forces? Is it even possible at this point, or are we too far gone?
It's possible, but again, it's going to take local citizens in their community getting down to their city councils and creating oversight, police oversight committees where when one of these SWAT team raids or the stuff you're seeing in Ferguson, they need to back them down. They need to be held accountable. Most police agencies operate basically any way they want. The local city councils and politicians just let them go. As I've written in a number of instances, I've seen local citizens get down at that local city council meeting, they get their signs, and they say, we're not moving until you change this thing. If not, you're going to see tyranny in this country. This is the face of the government today, what you're seeing in Ferguson, and it's only going to get worse if we don't back it off.
All right. John Whitehead, president of the Rutherford Institute, thanks for weighing in.
Thank you.